Alright guys, on a bench, we have one of my, I'd have to say, top 5 favorite radios, the Lafayette Telsat SSB 140, and I'm kind of already into this radio. So this thing came to me. The customer asked to do a full service to it, but the issue was it had no power, it wasn't turning on, and wanted the Clarifier unlocked, full service, fixed the no power issue, and he has this a static, was it 878? Yeah, 878 DM mic wired for this base unit. So this is a four pin, so we'll have to put another end on that. But first I wanted to talk about the actual switch here. So when I did my diagnosing, I found out that the power switch was actually bad. And it's very rare for these switches to go bad. I've never had one go bad. This is the first one. But I figured I'd share maybe some info in case you guys have one of these. This is a Matsushita. Sorry, I'm out of frame here. This is a Matsushita, which is Panasonic power switch. So it does two things. It turns. You have an AC side and a DC side. So the AC side, turns the transformer on and off, and then the DC side, I forgot what side's what, actually, it gives power to the actual board, the chassis. So when I did my diagnosing, I found out that the AC side was switching, but the DC side had power coming in but no power coming out. So one of the contacts on the DC side was bad or corroded or something was going on. So I decided to take the switch apart, and it was one of the worst things that I could have done, because these things are damn near impossible to get back together. And you think you got everything together correctly, and then sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. I was having some issues. So fortunately I found a good switch. But you can open these up. You can just basically pry these tabs off, and then this whole thing pops off on the top. The problem is getting this all back together, and then there's a mechanism, because this is a push on, push off switch. It's one of these. So there's a mechanism in here that holds it either open or holds it closed, and that is damn near impossible to get back together. While you have spring tension on these little tabs here, these that actually make the contact for the switch, for the switching, and trying to just keep everything together while trying to crimp these things back on, it's just super impossible. So, but after taking the switch apart, I realized that there is a way to possibly clean up these contacts without taking the switch apart. And now that I know how the switch actually, the design of the switch, you can kind of see how it works. In retrospect, had I known how the switch worked, I would have drilled 2 holes, one there and one on the other side, about 1/8 of an inch, just enough to stick the nozzle of like a deoxit can in there. And then I would have sprayed some deoxit in there and worked the switch back and forth, even possibly some compressed air in there after you spray it, and I'm sure that would have cured the problem. But the issue was I didn't know how the switch was made. But anyway, I found a replacement switch, but I figured I'd share that just in case you guys are running into the same, because this switch is used in several different radios. I know one of the Midland bases I have uses this actual same switch. So it's just some good info for you guys if you run into this issue and you want to fix the switch that you have. I think that would work. Like I said, drilling the holes on either side there, spraying a considerable amount of deoxit in there, working the switch back and forth, and then blowing it out with some compressed air. I think that would solve the issue. But anyway, putting that aside, I was able to find the same switch, an original Telsat switch. So we're going to be putting that in. It does work. But yeah, I like the look of this radio. Kind of reminds me of the old Pioneer receivers, the legendary Pioneer receivers with the all aluminum face and the aluminum knobs, and it's right around the same time too that you'd find that receiver. This radio was around as well. But in order to get to the switch, you have to take the front face off, and once you do that, the switch is over here. It's just 2 screws in the front, and then you can pop the switch off. And that's how you get to that switch. So I'm going to go ahead and desolder these wires, solder on, the wires that are on the radio. And we'll get this radio back on power, and then we can actually do our preliminary test on this. See what it's doing, see if it's on frequency, what it's doing for power, what it has for sensitivity, etc., etc. So, yeah, let me get this switch in, and then we'll see how the radio is doing before we do any of the work. All right, stand by, guys. All right, switch is in. So you got the AC side, and then you got the DC side here. And also, along with unlocking the Clarifier, this thing has a channel mod done to it. You can see the switch back here. And so we're going to be undoing this. It's just not needed anymore. So we talked about removing the channel mod. So they cut the trace here, they added some resistors, and then put a switch in. So we're going to be repairing, undoing basically everything that has been done to this here. So, back in the day when you didn't have enough channels, this is something common that was done. But nowadays it's really not needed. So we both talked about it, and that channel mod's coming out. We're going to be bringing the radio back to stock, except for a Clarifier unlock and some LEDs. So, but other than that, this radio is going back to its original condition. So let's get this back down, and obviously be careful. This is, I do have AC connected, so be careful there. A lot of people say it can kill you, probably under the right circumstances, but it's going to give you a nasty shock if you touch it. So just beware. But you can see it comes on now. So our power issue is fixed. And now what I'll do is, while I have this apart, I'm going to, while I got the front face apart, it's just easier getting at all these potentiometers right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put some deoxit in these and work them back and forth. And yeah, that's about it. And then I'll get the front face plate back on. And then we'll do our tests, see if she actually transmits and receives. And we'll take it from there. But let me get this deoxit done first. Stand by. All right, well, it's back together. And I have it hooked up to the watt meter. I have this old Lafayette mic that I had laying around. We're going to be using that because I still haven't wired up the mic that came with the radio. So we're going to see what she's doing for power. So I got it on AM, channel 19. And let's see what we got for a carrier. Yeah, like 3.8. Just shy of 4 watts carrier. And let's see what we got for PEP. Audio. Yeah, let me put it on the 1040 here. And on AM, she's hitting about like 12 watts peak, coming back down to like 10. I think we can do a little bit better than that with a recap and alignment. Let me go to the sidebands. Let's put this on. We'll go to upper sideband. That's only 4 watts. That is really low. Yeah, that's gotta be needing some work. Let's go to lower sideband. Yeah, same thing there. Sideband's gonna need some work. AM is it's probably right where it should be from the factory, but we can get it better than that. So yeah, this is gonna need a little bit of work. All right, let me get this on the signal generator, and let's see what she's doing for sensitivity. All right, stand by. All right, she's hooked up to the signal generator. And I got an S9 signal going to the radio, and you can see that it is pretty spot on, S9. So that's good. Let's see what its sensitivity is actually at. So let me bring this back down to a lower level and get the external speaker plugged in, and we'll see what she's doing for sensitivity. Stand by. Alright, well, I got the SIN adder hooked up directly to the speaker because this doesn't have an external speaker jack. So I just have it right on the terminals of the speaker. And see what she's doing for sensitivity. So we're at minus 110, 11, 12, 13. Alright, it's not bad. Minus 113 dBm, 12 dB synad. So, yeah, it's a little bit better than what's expected out of these radios, but yeah, I think this radio is going to be an excellent radio. So we'll do a full service to it, get it recapped, clean up some of the dust that's in there, and yeah, do a proper alignment to it, and change out these lights to LEDs. And yeah, that's about it. So that's it for this part. Alright, so it's been a few days since I've had this on the workbench, but I just finished recapping and aligning the radio, and it came out great. I had some, I wouldn't say issues, but obviously the glue is always an issue. But right around in this area here, it's pretty common to see a ton of glue in there. You can see the 2 jumpers, that resistor that's there, and it was just poured in there. You can actually see the 2 caps that were there. So I ended up just taken the jumpers out. I made 2 new jumpers. I took out the resistor, cleaned up the resistor because that was still okay. Yeah, I got that whole area there cleaned up, and it's, you know, nice and clean out. But that was actually the only area where the glue was, you know, kind of a pain to get out. There was another area on the radio, I forget where it was, but the glue came out pretty easily. But this one here was kind of a trouble spot. And I think if you'll notice on a lot of these Telsat SSB 140s and a lot of these Cybernets, you're going to see the glue there is pretty prevalent. But this is actually the only cap that's not Nichicon. That cap was upgraded in capacitance and voltage. But that's an IC cap, so it's still a brand name cap, still a good cap. But yeah, the whole radio's been recapped. It's aligned, and it's working great. I still have to do change out the meter lights to LEDs. Those are still incandescent, and I have to unlock the Clarifier. I gotta say, it's not something I do to my own radios. I don't particularly care for having the Clarifier unlocked on transmit. I don't have anything against it. I know a lot of people like it. It's just my personal preference. I don't see a need for it. I know pretty much all the old 23 channel radios, you know, the Clarifiers came, you know, unlocked anyway on transmit and receive. But it's not something that I purposely do to my own radios. I think as long as the radio is on frequency, I don't see a need to adjust it. For me, that should be the person on the other side of your conversation should be fine-tuning, you know, the reception. That's just how I feel. I think that sometimes you might be a little bit off here, or you may not realize, you know, you're not centered or whatever. And then on AM, not a big deal. On sideband, it's a big deal. But that's just my personal preference. You know, this isn't a fact or anything. It's just me. I don't personally unlock my own clarifiers on my own radios. If I buy a radio and the clarifier is unlocked, I leave it. You know, I'm not that set against it. But it's not something that I purposely do. But this person wants the clarifier unlocked, so I still got to do that, the LEDs. And so this radio is going to be driving a RM Italy, a KL203P linear. So I have it set up as such. So when you look at the RM Italy website, you can see that you can drive this anywhere from 1 to 10 watts in AM, FM, and sideband. That might be true, but I would not want to be driving this particular amplifier at the peak of 10 watts, especially not in sideband. So that's probably the main concern here with this radio, is going to be keeping that sideband peak power down. So on AM, it's tuned to stock. So this radio is putting out 4 watts. Let me put this to AM. So it's set to 4 watts. You can see up here too. Okay, that's 4 watts. Bottom scale, 30 watt scale, 4 watts. That's what Lafayette wants, and that's way below the driving max for these amplifiers. So peak on AM, it's also set to the factory settings. So let's put the tone through here. 1 kilohertz on. Okay, so on AM you can see that it kind of peaks out at like right around 12. 4-watt carrier, 12 peak. And again, when you're setting up a radio, you can probably get a little bit more out of the AM peak-wise. But because this is driving an amplifier, I kept it down to basically what Lafayette wants. But normally when you're peaking, you know, you're trying to peak out and get the max you can out of it. You can see way more than 12. So if this radio wasn't driving an amplifier, I would have tuned this a little bit different. I probably would have given it a little bit more on the top, the peak envelope power. And the same thing on sideband. So when you look at what Lafayette wants here for sideband, so you're going to adjust RV11 for sideband power and RV2. So the max they want on sideband is 12 watts. But on these radios, and a lot of radios, you can almost get double that, you know, reliably and cleanly on sideband. You know, but they want 12 watts here. So I adjusted this at 12 watts. Again, because this is going to be driving an amp. If this wasn't going to be driving an amplifier, I would have tweaked this a little bit more to get like 20 plus watts peak envelope power out of this radio. And everybody knows, you know, you can get that easily out of these radios. So let's go to lower sideband. We'll put a two-tone test here. So you can see it's set up at exactly what they want here, 12 watts, sideband, lower sideband, upper sideband, so it's the same. So that's why it's kind of important to know what you're going to be doing with the particular radio. So fortunately, this customer told me, hey, I'm going to be driving this KL203 amp. So I have it set up as such, you know. So it's a little bit on the, I guess you could say on the conservative side on power, peak envelope power, both on AM and sideband. But that's what you want when you're driving one of those amplifiers. And while AM probably isn't the issue with these, it's sideband. And these particular amps, how do I put it? On the less expensive side, you know, sideband's always going to be an issue, especially on how well you sound on air. You know, they're really meant for AM, but not to say you can't use them on sideband. But you know, the thing about it is, if you don't set up the radio correctly, you're going to sound like complete ass on sideband. So that's why I set up the radio the way I set it up. Everything is stock, so it's going to be driving this amp perfectly, I think. But anyway, with that being said, let me get I'll get the Clarifier unlocked. I'll get the meter lights swapped out to LEDs. And then we can put this thing back together finally. I just got to clean up the knobs a little bit here. I'll take them out and clean them. They're just a little bit dirty. Clean up the face a little bit. Clean up the cabinet, and I'll get the mic, the desk mic back on here, the static mic, which I wired up in a previous video. And then, yeah, we can test her out, see how she sounds. All right, guys, stand by. All right, so she's all back together. And let me tell you, it is looking great. I like the way the meters came out. The glow behind them is just perfect. It's not too bright. Again, like just this perfect glow behind the meters, and it really makes a huge difference in the way this radio looks, in my opinion. But I got the Clarifier unlocked. LEDs are in. She's tuned. and ready to go home. So I tried to see if any skip was coming in, and unfortunately, it's been kind of dead lately. Get a couple of hours, like right before the sun goes down. But it's very, very weak. You know, even like channel 6. You know, where all those high-powered guys are at the bowl there. It's hit or miss lately. But I got the monitor radio on, and we can see how it sounds, I guess, through another radio. At least we can do that. Clarifier is unlocked. Like I said before, we got a nice connector on the mic, like a nice audio grade connector, cast connector. And I think it's better the better the connector you have with these DIN plugs, the better, because they become a little wonky after a while, especially if you're constantly plugging them in and plugging them out and whatnot. So it's nice having a nice high quality plug in my opinion. Yeah, the fine-tuned clarifier is unlocked. So let's key up here. And yeah, let me lock the mic in. And you guys can see up there. So you got some pretty good range here. Yeah, really good range here. See, so now you have to really make sure that when you are transmitting, that you want to make sure that this is as centered as possible. This particular radio here doesn't have a detent for center, so just something to look out for when you are transmitting. Not so much on AM, but definitely on sidebands. Make sure that that's where the mark is. But yeah, clarifier is unlocked. We have nice LEDs in, and this radio is just looking good. So let's see if we can get this monitor radio sounding okay without some feedback. But I'll try to keep the desktop mic away, as far away as possible, and see how she sounds. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we can do a little bit better than that. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, this radio sounds really, really nice. I like the way this mic sounds. I like the way this radio sounds. It is sounding pretty good. Really good, actually. Yeah, it's sounding good. Really good radio. I mean, they really shine on sidebands. That's what they're known for. Not necessarily AM. They're good on AM, but sideband's where it's at with these radios. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing this Telsat SSB 140. Sounding pretty damn good. This 878 mic also sounds pretty good too. Let's see what we can get. Yeah, this is static 878 DM mic sounds pretty good. These meters are working perfectly. Modulation set perfectly. And yeah, this radio is looking good, performing good. This thing is ready to go back to its owner. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way this radio came out. Yeah, this radio came out nice. Oh, there's the feedback. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's all I got for this radio here. And yeah, thanks for watching. I just wanted to tack this on the end of the video clips, but if you guys are wondering how to do a clarifier unlock on these Telsat SSB 140s or anything with this chassis. What you want to do is you're going to take a resistor out, you're going to take a diode out, and then you're going to get power from Q44 off the emitter of that, and then you're going to run that to the leg of that's not connected on the fine tune. But you want to put in a I put in a 10K resistor. But this is so this resistor is R24. You'll find this over in the synthesizer area. This is D5, and you want to just pop both those out. And yeah, like I said, after that you want to go to, look in the Sam's manual here, Q44. So this is looking on the bottom of the board. You want to go to the emitter of Q44. So actually anywhere in there, you're going to find it's not quite 8 volts. It's like 9.2 volts, I think I had on there. So that's why you want to put in like a 10K resistor. And then, you know, that should drop the voltage down enough for the clarifier. And then you're going to take your wire, and then you're going to run that right to the clarifier pot. You'll see that there's a tab that is not connected, and you're going to connect your 8 volts source to that. So it's pretty easy. So Q44 emitter, 9 volts. You're going to run that to the empty tab on the pot along with the 10K resistor. You're going to take out D5, and you're going to take out R24. So that's it. R24, D5, and run your power over to the fine tune, and that's all you need to unlock these. Pretty easy. All right.